Hi, my name is Rachel. Welcome to my very last pregnancy update video. Hopefully this is the very last day that I'm pregnant. I'm now 40 weeks and 2 days pregnant. May 2nd, 2 days past my due date. Even though I was fully prepared to go past my due date as a first-time mom because it's very common and it's more likely to go past your due date than it is to go before, I didn't realize how hard it would be feeling like a ticking time bomb every day, not knowing when it's going to happen. But that being said, I'm still doing my best to stay healthy and active and do movements that's really going to encourage my baby to drop into position, drop into the pelvis, lower and lower, get ready for birth. So once I hit my due date, I regressed even more significantly than I talked about in the last video. Once I hit that 9-month mark of pregnancy. So I'll talk about all those changes. Hopefully one of these workouts will send me into labor. But anyways, let's just go ahead and hop right into the video. So I'm going to be recapping the very last stretch of my lifting. So this is going to be from 38, 39, and 40 plus weeks pregnant. The last video I did, I believe, was up until 37 weeks pregnant. So I went past my due date. I actually ended up going into labor at 40 weeks and 3 days pregnant, the day after filming that intro segment and then the belly baby bump update. I'm a little rusty on doing these voiceovers. It's been a very long time since I've done any of this. But just to give a very quick rundown of how birth went before I get into all of the last bits of my training and how I stayed healthy and active all the way up until very last second, right into going into labor. I had a very perfect birth. It went exactly according to plan. I had an unmedicated water birth. My labor was very long. It was 18 hours. I didn't have any labor symptoms all the way up until being in labor, which was crazy. And from the start of labor, I was not having more than a 5-minute break in between contractions, so it was intense the whole time. But I'm glad I was able to stay strong mentally because it's a lot harder than the physical part. But I'm proud of myself for staying healthy, strong, active, mobile, cardiovascularly fit, all the things. I definitely think that helped me have a really easy postpartum recovery. I'll get into all of that in future videos. But for now, I'm going to be reminiscing on all of the pregnancy training and how everything went. I loved training while pregnant, and I'm really glad I was able to maintain as much strength as I did all the way up until going into labor. This was at 39 weeks pregnant. Still was able to easily squat 225 pounds, but again, I wasn't doing anything crazy. And this was at 40 weeks pregnant, actually a couple days before 40 weeks pregnant, and I was still easily doing 205 pounds. My stance had been widened from my regular stance gradually throughout the course of the pregnancy, but I didn't have any issues with squatting the whole time, which was great. I maintained one strength squat day the entire time, so I did the lower repetition range, trying to maintain that higher strength level, and then I had one volume day where I'm doing high reps and then just trying to get a little bit more cardiovascular element. But obviously you're not using a belt while you're pregnant, so you're going to be not bracing and you're lifting a lot differently than you would while you're powerlifting. And then bench went really well too. I took away my arch, I changed my touch points. Nothing really crazy there. My upper body strength did hold on really well. I was able to do dips with like 10 reps all the way up until 40 weeks pregnant, which was kind of cool. I had one primary day on bench and then one secondary higher up day on bench throughout the entire pregnancy. I didn't ever take any day off. I had 5 training days, my regular training split the entire pregnancy, which was cool. Deadlifts, I had to start elevating them as I went through my pregnancy because you can't really reach the ground once your belly gets super huge unless you're in a sumo stance. So I just started adding mats gradually. I think at 28 weeks pregnant, I was no longer able to pull off, or that was the last week that I pulled off the floor comfortably. And then I just started gradually adding some mats there. And then I started doing sumo deadlifts. I hate sumo deadlifts. I've never trained sumo deadlifts. I will never train sumo deadlifts again unless I were to be pregnant again. But they were good for pregnancy because you're able to easily reach the ground. And it was kind of cool to just do a different movement pattern. And I feel like it did, now that I'm in off season, my deadlift strength has been coming back the quickest. And I think that might have had some carryover there, which was nice. As far as accessories go, you saw at the beginning I was doing lots of unilateral movements, making sure that I'm staying stable and mobile the entire time. I'm doing a lot of core work like you're seeing here. You want to make sure that you're not creating excess intra-abdominal pressure when you're pregnant, but you also want to make sure that you're able to function your core properly, not avoiding core. Because let me tell you, when you are in labor and when you are pushing, you are using your core. Your pelvic floor is relaxing, but your core is doing some work. And as you can see, I am struggling to turn over, but that is not for shortage of trying. The baby bump gets very, very heavy at the end, but if you're not working yourself properly, then it's going to be uncomfortable. I honestly felt comfortable all the way up until the end because I was challenging my body and moving appropriately. But I had so much fun training while pregnant, and it's honestly, even though it's fun, building back up my strength, and I'm pretty much exactly at where I was at 5 months postpartum now, but I miss training while pregnant. It was really fun, and it was special being able to share those moments with my daughter working out before having her earthside. So hopefully this is my very, very last baby bump update. I'm now officially 2 days past my due date. Last time I did a baby bump update, I was only 37 weeks pregnant, and I'm 40 weeks and 2 days pregnant. It's May 2nd. This is what she's looking like all the way out. Definitely popping, definitely ready to go. I am waiting on her any second. For first-time moms, it's very, very common to go past your due date. But I didn't think it would be as hard as this waiting, because as soon as you hit that due date, it's like every single day you're on edge. Is it gonna be today? I hope so. I'm tired of waiting, ready for her to be here, but try my best to be patient, and she'll be here when she's here. So I wanted to show my very 3 last days of lifting all the way up before giving birth, because it's pretty much the same as it would have been at the very beginning in pregnancy, with the exception of some stance modifications, because obviously the belly gets huge at the end. But this was 5 reps at 285 pounds, not very heavy for me considering these are elevated deadlifts and relative to my starting strength, but also not as light as I thought it would be. I feel like I maintained my strength pretty well all the way up until the end. I did back off a little bit from where I was at. I would say 36 weeks pregnant was when I started to taper off the weights a little tiny bit, but honestly I still preserved my strength pretty well. And then as you can see, the belly is popping very much. This is just some sumo deadlifts with 215 pounds that I did after the elevated deadlifts. And this was me working out on my due date. So my regular scheduled rest day was on 39 weeks and 6 days, and this is on 40 weeks pregnant exactly. And I am not gonna lie, before I went into the gym, I had an emotional breakdown. I was like, I cannot believe that I have not given birth yet. Everyone was texting me like, have you had the baby yet? Are you in labor? The baby must be here by now. And I was feeling so overwhelmed because, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I was fully prepared to go past my due date, but once it hits and once everyone starts asking, it's stressful because you're like, okay, when is this going to happen? Like, I am ready for the baby to be here, even though I was still very comfortable being pregnant. And I was like, I could be pregnant for another 2 weeks, so why is everyone stressing me out? I just needed to get out of my head, and going into the gym really helped me. But I had an emotional breakdown with my husband in the car, like freaking out. I was like, why isn't the baby here? But then I felt so much better after I went into the gym. I decided to, for the very first time of my entire pregnancy, not do any barbell movements on this day. So at 39 weeks and 5 days pregnant, I was still deadlifting. I think 39 weeks and 3 days pregnant, I was still squatting heavy. But I decided, okay, this is going to be Operation Get This Baby Out of My Belly. So I did a lot of mobility. I did a lot of deep squat holds and breathing. I did a lot of hip rock, Swiss ball, pelvic floor tilts, all those types of things. I still kind of pushed split squats. I did, as you can see, I did the offset kettlebell, or that was just with the dumbbell goblet squats. I did some rotational Pallof press. I did some dynamic functional stay moving exercises, but the focus was not on strength. Once I hit my due date, I was like, okay, you've maintained your strength all the way up until the end. You're still deadlifting 285 pounds. You're still squatting 225 pounds. Now just get this baby out of you. Like, it is time. Now is not the time to be pushing your strength. Now is the time to get this baby out. So I was focusing on positioning and making sure that my baby was going to be dropping into a perfect position, which, as I mentioned earlier, she did. I had a perfect birth, didn't have any tearing, had an unmedicated birth, and it was awesome, beautiful way to start motherhood. But yes, I was like, okay, I love working out. I'm happy to be in the gym, but let's get this baby out of here. I'm ready to be getting the show on the road. And this was me working out the day after my due date. I really wish in hindsight, if I had known this was my last workout, that I did 135 pounds, because I could have done it and that would have been cooler to say I did 135 pounds after my due date. But I'm proud of myself for lifting all the way up until the end. And lastly, this is 40 weeks and 2 days pregnant. It was my second rest day of the week, just getting my regular 10,000 steps a day that I got throughout the entire pregnancy. And then even though she was 3 days late, she was actually perfectly on time because I was able to finish out the entire training block, take a rest day, then go into labor that next morning at 4:30 in the morning. So it honestly could not have gone any better. I didn't even show up to the hospital until I was 9 centimeters dilated, literally puking in the hospital lobby while I was waiting for them to buzz me in. But it could not have gone any better. I'll probably talk about my birth a little bit more in future videos, but she's waking up from her nap now. Hold on. Now that I got her up from her nap, just gonna finish this very, very last quick segment. Honestly, motherhood has been way better than I could have ever imagined, but this is not gonna be this is not gonna be a motherhood channel at all. I'm just gonna get right back into documenting my powerlifting progress. My postpartum recovery has been going super well. My strength is almost exactly back to where it was at 5 months postpartum. So I'm really excited to share all of that. But yeah, I'll update you in the next video on all that. And one last thing on the baby bump update, I'm now up 26.5 pounds at over 40 weeks pregnant. 172.1 pounds is my body weight average. I'm 5'9", so she looks ready to go. I mean, you can never know how much your baby's gonna weigh, but I feel like I got at least an 8-pound baby in here, and I just want her to be ready any day now. I'm feeling way, way too comfortable to be this pregnant. And I want to start feeling uncomfortable. I want to start feeling contractions. I want to go into labor. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Please, hopefully it is soon. So if this video is being posted, it means that I already had the baby. Again, it could be any day now. It could be even today. But my next video won't be for about another month and a half. Once I'm cleared for exercise, usually you're cleared to get fully back into the swing of things at 6 weeks. But I'll be doing the slow rehab process. So I'll show some of all of that, how that goes. So I'm definitely planning on, as soon as I feel ready to go, rehabbing my core and pelvic floor and doing some light walks and strolls, and then slowly building and adding up from there. So my next video, about a month and a half out, will be very, very comprehensive to show how I slowly built back into the swing of things. But I'm very, very excited to have this baby enter into this next phase of motherhood. Thank you for keeping up with my pregnancy journey. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.